Welcome, everyone. My name is Ladata Taylor, and I'm very excited to be here to kick off our Classroom to Career Summit today. I want you to know that you have been muted, and when we place you in breakout rooms later in our session this morning, we will unmute you so that you can communicate with the breakout groups. We're also very interested in your thoughts and questions, and we encourage you to use the chat function throughout the presentation. Again, we appreciate you being here. I want to really thank our speakers. We have a lineup of great speakers with us today. We have Gail Manton with the ARC. We have Senator Rucker with the West Virginia Legislature. We have Scott Rotruck from the West Virginia Board of Education. We also have Clinton Birch from the Department of Education. And this was really Clinton's idea to put this summit together so that the good work that's being done could be shared throughout the state. And it would also give us the opportunity to see what else is going on and how others might get involved in this initiative. We're in the very early stages of rolling some things out, and we are so excited to have you with us today to be able to make sure that we're building more partnerships along the way. Just from the lineup that I mentioned, I think you could see that this project is about partnerships, and this project would not be possible without both Marshall University and West Virginia University. They are key players, key partners in what we're going to be sharing for a portion of our session today. So I would just like to thank all of the partners that have helped make this possible. I'll go into some more detail about how the ARC has been involved and really been instrumental in helping us get this initiative started, how it's grown, and now including both of those institutions as well as other partners that are involved. I'd like to thank Julie Black and the TLC at WVU. They have been phenomenal to work with. They have helped us organize and coordinate this entire event. And we really wouldn't be nearly as comfortable talking with you today and offering this unique summit from Marshall University, West Virginia University live, and also virtually without their help. So I just really would like to thank them for everything that they've done in helping us get this put together. So without further delay, one last thing I'd like to ask you to do, if you could change your name on your video so that it is your actual name and also your organization, we would certainly appreciate it, because I think that will be most helpful when we go to our breakout rooms, but allow us to really understand who's joined us today. We have a quite nice crowd, and we want to make sure that we're able to communicate with you and understand what organization you represent. So I'd like to introduce and turn this over to Clinton Birch. Clinton is going to walk us through and introduce our main speakers to kick this off, and then we will go into more details on the project and then go into our breakout rooms. Clinton is the senior officer with the West Virginia Department of Education, Technical and Adult Education, and Clinton is certainly an outstanding partner. He is a forward thinker, and he's really driven this idea of partnership from the inception of conversations around this. You know, I like to think of myself as an education entrepreneur, and I think Clinton is someone that values and understands the importance of entrepreneurship for our state and for our children and for our communities and our longevity. So we have been very fortunate to have him at the lead of this effort. And Clinton, with that, I'd like to turn it over to you so that we can begin hearing from our speakers. Thank you.
Wow, Ladata, thank you so much. I could not be more excited to be in education right now in the state of West Virginia. Bringing everyone together, WVU and Marshall and EdVenture have been outstanding. And, you know, I go back and I think of the famous Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. One of his most famous quotes is, "Education is all about being excited about something." And that's what this initiative is. It's all about this idea of being excited about something. And watching the work that WVU, EdVenture, and Marshall University have done with the West Virginia Department of Education around the initiative of Classroom to Career, I mean, it's like mind-boggling. I've been in this business almost 20 years, and I'm finally like things that I've been preaching and my philosophy actually coming to fruition. And so in order for us to accomplish these goals, these partners are imperative. I mean, in order to create an entrepreneurial and a work-based learning opportunities for students, we have to help and work together, not just as an educational unity, but our business and industry. And that's why you are here today. We're reaching out to you and saying, hey, can you help us out? Help us change the mindset and the philosophy of our educators and make them think that education can be beyond the walls of the classroom. Just like Steve Irwin, I mean, he took his passion of his career about educating the world on animals, and he became famous for it. He was excited about it. That's what I want to do for our students. I want you guys, if you can help us open up your doors and allow these students to come and experience what you do every day in your business, and really allow those students to embrace what you're doing. And it's just going to make them want to be a lifelong learner here in West Virginia and be a part of your businesses and help your businesses grow. But even beyond the businesses, the entrepreneurial mindset that these students can start receiving from kindergarten and the way of thinking creatively and imaginatively. I mean, that should be our new philosophy of education, is this idea of let's create thinkers. Let's create the idea that people, some are going to have great ideas. Scott and I had a wonderful conversation earlier in the week about, not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur and have ideas and want to move forward. But what this initiative does, it allows those students that do want to have those ideas to learn to think that way and present their ideas. And with your help in the business and industry world, you guys can open that up and you can actually become mentors to these students, virtual mentors. You can create internships, job shadowing opportunities, on-the-job training opportunities that these students actually get to leave the four walls of their classroom and come out and be a part of all the things that you're doing. And that's why this morning, I always say I like to use my friend card. And I reached out to WVU and Marshall and Ed Venture, and I said, hey, I got all these friends here. And then I said, you know what we need to do next is let me reach out to my friends like Gail Manchin and Senator Rucker and Scott Rotruck, these people who have been passionate and leaders in moving this type of philosophy and education for many years now. So when I reached out to them, I mean, everybody was like, absolutely, hands down, I want to do this. And so now what I'm asking is, I've got my friends together. Now I want to get my business and industry friends together and say, hey, are you on the same page with us? Education's wanting to move this way. We want to involve you in every step going forward. And we want to open up the doors for these students and create these opportunities for students. And so that is what this whole purpose of this discussion today is to hope that you learn what education's doing, what WVU's doing with their students, what Marshall's doing with their students, and how we're all collaborating together to create true student opportunities to get outside of the classroom. So without further ado, I do want to introduce three lovely, wonderful people who have been great supporters, but in no particular order. I want to introduce a longtime friend, supporter, and educational mentor through my career, Miss Gail Manchin. Gail has supported career and technical education over the last 15 years while I've been in career technical education as a state board member, through her time as Cabinet Secretary of the West Virginia Department of Education and Arts, now in her current role as the Appalachian Regional Commission's federal co-chair. Gail continues to advocate for these types of partnerships to build community capacity and strengthen West Virginia's economy, which, Gail, thank you so much for being here this morning. I'd also like to introduce and thank Senator Patricia Rucker for taking time out of her schedule. I know that she's been here in Charleston. She's working really hard over there as the Education Committee Chair. And she's also a former educator, so she understands the importance of getting students outside of the classroom and what those experiences mean, because time and time again, Senator Rucker and I've had this conversation that when students leave the classroom and they actually get out and experience the real world and having an authentic learning experience, it's just time and again shows that these students can get excited and want to stay here in West Virginia and be a part of it. So Senator Rucker has led the way. She's been a true champion for the expansion of career technical education throughout the state, and she's made it a true priority. She's advocated even for younger students to be involved in this, and it's something that I've really taken to heart, and we're really working hard to get career awareness and career exploration into our younger grades. We're doing a lot of new initiatives with middle school, and we're even moving into the elementary school. So Senator Rucker, I want to thank you for your passion for this collaborative education efforts, as it's been contagious and inspiring to me. And then lastly, but definitely not short on enthusiasm, Mr. Scott Roetruck. Scott is a state board member. He has been an industry leader, a college professor, a civic leader, and an entrepreneur himself. And Scott has been a real inspiration to me as I've led this work. I've listened to Scott over the last several years on his passion of wanting to get entrepreneurship in as an educational philosophy and a mindset, not only with our students, but with our teachers and with our administrators, so that we can really start creating this type of mindset. And, you know, he goes and he says all the time, when we get this passion into our students and get this into our teachers, it's only going to create opportunities for businesses in West Virginia to build a stronger economic future for West Virginia. So the three of you, I just want to thank you guys so much for being advocates, being supporters of this initiative, being willing to put your names on the line as we move forward and help us gather more support through business and industry and expand this education initiative. So I know I always tell Ladata that you give me the mic and I get excited and I just want to talk all day long, but I won't do that because I know that you guys are going to learn a lot through today's presentations. We have some wonderful speakers. And our first one I'd like to turn it over to is Mrs. Gail Manchin. And Gail, I want to thank you so much for taking your time out of your schedule today and being here with us. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Manchin.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Clinton, not only for the warm introduction, but for the excitement that you're bringing to this. This is an exciting day. The project, our investment from ARC is important, but it is certainly the right thing to be doing. And so it is both an honor and a pleasure for me to be here today with the Chair of the Senate Education Committee, Patricia Rucker, and State Board Member Scott Roetruck. It's nice to be with this esteemed group to talk about what's going on today and really what it means. You know, as Clinton mentioned, education certainly is my background. That's where I have been involved my entire life, which seems like about 100 years, but it's certainly all been good. And knowing that now, as I represent ARC and what the success of ARC has always been, and what it has been is about partnerships and collaboration. You know, back in 1965, when the ARC was created, the word collaboration was not a household word. And yet that's the way ARC was structured. We don't hand out money. We look for where there are good local partnerships with buy-in from the business, education, entrepreneurial, all the outside forces that we come together to buy into a project, and then how that project leaks into the state. And then the ARC becomes that third leg that comes to the table and supports these projects as they carry out, because no one knows better than people in the local community, the business community, the education community, what is going to serve their people, their students best. And of course, as a believer in lifelong learning, people say to me all the time, when do you believe education begins? And I said, when you're born, the day you're born. And when does it end? The day you die. So as a true believer in lifelong learning, this is an exciting project to be involved in. And the West Virginia Entrepreneurial Educational Collaborative is such a perfect example of a partnership that is working to prioritize work-based learning and entrepreneurial experiences in West Virginia for our West Virginia youth. In addition, just a shout out to Ed Adventure. which has been serving West Virginia for 20 years. And LaDonna, we certainly don't look like that we've been friends and working together for 20 years. Maybe it's the Zoom connection that that helps us look better, but we're proud to have supported the fostering self-esteem, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics through a Power Grant in 2019. The 2-year project reaches 7 Appalachian states, 52 counties, and 75 rural school districts. The project is making a real difference in the lives of students. In fact, 2 students involved in the program, Macy and Eaton, had this to say about the program. It has provided skills that will help us to thrive and become more productive leaders in the future. The process has developed our inner entrepreneurial skills to a level that allows us to be creative, innovative, and unique problem solvers. And that's exactly what our region needs, problem solvers. A ready and productive workforce is the backbone of economic development, and our business community understands that, but it starts with education. We must give our residents at every age the education and training they need to not only survive, but to thrive and to love what they're doing. ARC investments support these educational opportunities and institutions, especially by connecting skill development and workforce training with local and regional business opportunities and the interests of that area. Our investments also encourage and support workers who are overcoming challenges like substance abuse, which has certainly been a pandemic to our country. Our goal is to create a seamless system enabling Appalachians to succeed in existing industries, in different sectors of the workforce, and to encourage innovation for future industries. Here at ARC, we host several academies and institutes for students and adults in STEM education, entrepreneurship development, applied research, and community leadership. Our goal at ARC is to level the playing field so our people can have the same opportunities as people everywhere in mainstream America. The more that we can get people to think regionally, beyond state or county lines, the more likely we are to succeed as a whole. I want to see the entire Appalachian region to grow and excel and exceed. And so we here at ARC are certainly committed to collaborating with you to make this region and our entire region stronger and better able to meet and adjust to the work industry of the future. Thank you so much again for having me and for sharing the stage with Scott and Patricia. I love it. Thank you. Have a great day.
Gail, thank you so much. And I just want to thank you personally for always being a mentor to me throughout my educational career. You were with me from the time I was a teacher all the way through to where I am now. And just really, it means a lot that you're here still supporting the work that I'm trying to carry out. So thank you so much. And thank you for being a part of all this project. With that, I want to introduce Senator Patricia Rucker. Senator Rucker and I, we've been really focused in on this expanding of career and technical education and opportunities for students beyond the classroom. And Patricia has been just so wonderful to work with. She's easy to talk to. She gets the same philosophy as a mother. She wants those opportunities for her own children, and she wants to see them to be able to be successful in where they're going. And I'm just so excited to see the work that she's doing as the chair of the Education Committee for the West Virginia Senate. So with that, Senator Rucker, welcome, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Clinton. You are very kind, and I have to say it's mutual because you have been fantastic to work with, and it is just so important that we work together. And I think that's one of the greatest things about this summit that's been put together. You can see where legislative leaders, education leaders, and work leaders with the partnerships that have come together to just bring us together and help us be working to the same goal. I've always said that if we're rowing in the same direction, we're going to get to our destination. And it's something that really has just come together, especially this year. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you all who have taken the time. Great to see Gail Manchin again, and I'm so glad to have her back in our area helping us. And of course, have a great relationship with Scott Roadtruck and the members of the West Virginia Board of Education. So I just want to say that, yes, this is something that needs to happen. And I am completely dedicated to seeing it through, not only because the goal of education is to have a good, fulfilling career and a happy, successful life, but I believe that having the experiences of working and being able to use what you learn actually cements that education. You know, you're not going to forget it when you can actually use it. I'm sure all of you have had the experience where you're in a class learning some, algebraic, equation, and you're going, why do I need to learn this? What am I going to do this for? I know I have had those experiences. It really does help when there is relational use. So not just some sort of great, you're learning this just for the sake of learning it and because we require it, but hey, this is how it actually applies. Not to mention also the very important need of having work skills that can only be developed in a real work experience. You just cannot do that in a classroom. You can try and you can talk about it, but actually being in an environment where you have to use it is really the best way to learn. And, I think that we can probably admit that we are not doing as good a job as we could in that area. So working together and being part of this group, I really hope we're going to be able to provide more opportunities for our students to be successful and also help our employers in our state get a great workforce. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of this.
Thank you so much, Senator Rucker. We so appreciate you taking time out. I know you're really busy this week, being in town and everything. So thank you for taking the time with us. And I know that you'll have to leave here pretty soon to continue your work. So thank you so much. Next up is Mr. Scott Roadtruck, West Virginia Board of Education member and finance chair. Scott challenged me a few years ago, and he may not even remember this, but he wanted to see career and technical education really become a forefront of West Virginia education. And during that time, when I would listen to him in board meetings and bring in his industry experience, it was a real eye-opener to me and a real passion for me to really take what he said about let's shake it up, let's get kids and let's really give them some authentic experiences. We've done the simulated workplace. That's an awesome experience in the classroom, but now it's time to get students out of the classroom. And so, Scott, I want to thank you for challenging me and pushing me to where I'm at today to work with WVU and Marshall and EdVenture to really make Classroom2Career come to fruition. And you don't even realize it, but that actually stemmed from a conversation we had a few years ago. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Scott Roadtruck.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you. And Clinton, thank you very much for that. I do recall that conversation. And I also recall just how hard you worked on all this for so long. I would like to say congratulations to LaDotta for 20 years of EdVentures. EdVentures is an entrepreneurial nonprofit that's been so enabling of so many other projects in our state that has led to a lot of private sector success. So I'd really like to congratulate her. I'd also like to say another hello to Madam Co-Chair Gail Manchin, who's been a fabulous mentor to me. We've worked together across the years on a number of things. And the same with Senator Rucker. As she said, we have a good working relationship. It's both delightful to work with. And one thing that all of us worked together on was something that Gail helped start And that was the Public Education Collaborative, which has the same theme as what we're talking about with the Entrepreneurship Education Collaborative. Working together, that's how we really make a difference, by working strategically together. I would suggest to you that the real power happens when you have the public, private, academic, and nonprofit sectors come together. Oftentimes you'll hear 3 of the 4, but I think the power is when you really have all 4 of them. And all 4 of them are present here today. And I am so absolutely thankful of that. There's so much good news going on right now in West Virginia. And the fact that these kind of programs that Clinton has told us about, the eShip program of study, Discover Your Future, what the Educational Alliance is doing, all of this will help prepare students early on to be exposed to new opportunities. When we talk about career and college ready, it won't just be perhaps getting a job or perhaps continue your education in a number of ways, or the third E has been enlisting, but now we add the fourth E, entrepreneurship. And I'm really hoping to see it in the state's economic or education strategy, which will be before the board in October, because it's so critical. I just read a Stanford publication about these public-private academic nonprofit partnerships, and they have a phrase for it: intersector fluency. And what they mean is the ability of people to be fluent in the nonprofit world, the private sector world, the public sector world, and in that special world of academia. And we have people here today who can do all 4 of those things, who are adept at working across those lines, because that's where the power is, especially in West Virginia, where many times we're a state of small numbers, a small number of private sector people, or a small number of people in this given part of education. But when we work together, it's not just additive. The math is really exponential. We can really make an enormous difference. The power that's coming from the relationship between Marshall and WVU is tremendous. I've been around that relationship for the last 25 years. It has never been better. That is tremendous power. It really is. It's exponential, and I'm so proud of it. There's so much good news at both institutions. Marshall, for instance, has a new aviation program. WVU is starting a number of new programs. It has a big hyper focus on Hyperloop, which is going to really revolutionize transportation. These things are all very collaborative. Both institutions can work together on them, along with other higher ed institutions in the state. There is room for everyone. And as we want to grow as a state, our higher ed institutions are our portals of entry for people to come here. We have new students come here every year. We ought to, besides wanting to keep our own kids here, we ought to really thrive to keep other people's kids here, because they come with outside connections, outside ideas, connection to money, new ways of thinking, and all that really adds energy to the system. What we have seen from a couple of native sons, from Brad Smith and John Chambers, has just been fabulous. Brad and Elise Smith so graciously gave $25 million to WVU, and they're working on the remote worker program. We have Lewisburg, Shepherdstown, and Morgantown as the first three cities to be focused. But that is tremendous. And John Chambers' big aspiration, as he said so many times, for West Virginia to be the startup state. So with that, we have the educational assets that we need right now. We're focused on how we change. And that's something that Senator Rucker has, anytime you speak with her about education, she lights up and talks about innovation in education itself, doing new things in new ways, doing old things in new ways, but nonetheless, bringing new ideas to the table, because the world is really changing as so fast. It's just so rapid how the world is changing, and we definitely have to keep up. But I'm really excited about all of this. I couldn't be more positive about what's going on. I would share with you one final thing from the private sector, a new company that's been started by Sean Frisbee, the former director of the Alumni Center, president of the Alumni Center at WVU. He started a company called Vertex. And what's really interesting here is Vertex has a contract with Parallax in Dayton, Ohio, and they have a $9.6 million Air Force contract. And the goal of Vertex is to help supply that Air Force supply chain with new entrepreneurial endeavors from West Virginia, then regionally as it's successful, and then across the footprint of the ARC. So with that, I would just say I couldn't be more fired up for today. I appreciate all the speakers. I very much appreciate the opportunity to be on this panel with Gail and with Senator Rucker. So thank you very much, Clinton.
Thank you so much. And your enthusiasm is always contagious, and I love that. Thank you so much. With that being said, I do want to, before I introduce Dr. LaDotta Taylor, I do want to give a few shouts out that beyond this partnership, there are some behind the scene partners that have really helped us move the Classroom to Career initiative forward in addition to the universities. The Education Alliance has really been helpful to us. The Entre Ed group has been wonderful. The West Virginia Chamber has reached out and they're working side by side with us to create these opportunities. The Manufacturing Association has been working with us. So what we're asking for today is just to get more businesses now involved from the private sector, government agencies. I know the Commerce Office has been so supportive. West Virginia Workforce has been outstanding. DHHR has really stepped up and really want to create opportunities and new programs of study. So as you can see, we're getting a lot of these pieces, as you heard Scott mention, and how exciting it is to get all these pieces together. And as Senator Rucker said, as we're all moving in the same direction, we're going to get to that finish line, and we're really going to put West Virginia on the map where people are going to want to come into West Virginia because the economic growth and the development here in West Virginia is going to be so outstanding. So one of the major partners that really made today's event really come alive is Dr. LaDotta Taylor. Dr. Taylor and I go back a long way. You heard me mention about reaching out and using one of my friend cards. Early on in this year, when we were working on entrepreneurship together, I reached out to LaDotta and I said, hey, what do you think about a way to recruit business and industry to help us with this? We're getting all these other entities to work with us. How do we do this? And it's because of her vision and her foresight. She's the one who really put this all together. And with that, Dr. Taylor, thank you so much for all that you're doing for education, all that you're doing for the Department of Education, and really for helping bring your team together to lead such an amazing initiative. So, LaDotta, I'll turn it over to you, and I just want to thank you for being in my career all these years and really challenging me as well to make me think outside the box. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Clinton, and thank you to our speakers. Certainly appreciate everyone's comments. And, you know, what I take from those comments as I've listened to Clinton and to Gail and to Scott and to Senator Rucker, such passion for education. And that just makes me really excited, even more excited for what's happening, because, you know, I think it's so important that we have like-minded people coming together that really do care about education. And if you heard anything from this first 30 minutes, I think that you heard that passion and true commitment and care for education, the future workforce, and we know that entrepreneurship can be a way to get there. So I would like to just tell a short little story. I mean, Adventure is 20 years, you know, we've been in business 20 years, and I can tell you that I really can't take credit for anything on my own. We have had a great team of people, and to be honest, I don't know that I would have taken that leap of faith and stepped out to start a nonprofit without the guidance and support of Scott Rotruck. Scott and I had several conversations at Eaton Park in Morgantown talking about what was the right next step. I knew I didn't want to walk away from some type of teaching and being an educator. And, you know, Scott's experiences and guidance and support really helped to give me the confidence to say, I can be an education entrepreneur. I can be an entrepreneur, even though I'm really a math teacher, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I can take that teaching, that love for teaching, the love for having a bigger classroom, and turn it into something that can make a difference. And we've had a great team of people. And most important, we've had outstanding partners. I mean, we've had a number of programs with the West Virginia Department of Education. We've worked with Entre Ed, as Gail mentioned, and Clinton mentioned just a minute ago, working on some early entrepreneurship programs. And I could just go on and on about the number of projects we've had the opportunity to be involved in. But as we look at entrepreneurship, we were able to expand some of our thinking really under the guidance of another dear friend, Dr. Kathy D'Antoni, which I believe is with us at the Marshall campus, as well as Dr. Jean Colson with EntreEd. And we had this vision of, working with Marshall, doing some different, unique things, kind of something a little different twist on what had been happening. And then as that project evolved with the funding from ARC, that again, really helps us get things jump-started, and we're so appreciative for that funding, and that work led Clinton to say, we need to get WVU on board. And so, we are very, very appreciative of both institutions and the partnership, because it has been phenomenal. That's another place where you'll see passion for this work. The individuals that you'll meet today that have been involved in creating this curriculum have been outstanding partners to work with. So if we go to the next slide, we'll just talk a little bit about this, and then I will turn this over to Amber Ravenscroft from the Adventure Group to give a little more detail. But we had a meeting at Marshall in late July, and you can see our team there. And this is a collaborative team that is really working to design the future of entrepreneurship education curriculum for the future. And so you will see that not just our friends from Marshall and WVU and the department are there, but you also see educators, and the teachers that are involved in this have that same passion and drive and enthusiasm for helping get their students excited about entrepreneurship in this state. And what I love about this group of teachers is they're open with us. They give us feedback. We give them content, based on the expertise of the entrepreneurship folks at Marshall and WVU. I'm going to brag on Amber Ravenscroft from my staff. She just completed a master's degree from UPenn in entrepreneurship education. And so she not only brings a fresh perspective, but she brings a fresh perspective from a master's program at a high level institution that just blends perfectly with the great expertise we already have in this state. So we've really brought a lot of great people together to pull together a curriculum that will be long lasting and motivational for students to get them excited about entrepreneurship education. But what we know is if we don't have the right teachers there, it really doesn't matter what curriculum we have. The teachers are the key, and we have some outstanding CTE teachers that are working with us. So you can see our partners there on the screen. These are the folks that are really actively working and engaged in creating this curriculum. On the next slide, I'm going to turn it over. This is the state's first policy-based entrepreneurship program. And I mentioned Amber. Amber is the manager of innovation. And I thought, as all of our speakers were talking this morning, innovation is key, and we have to be innovative and creative. And Amber, I think she has innovation running through her blood. She's always looking for new and exciting things. She really wants students to engage in their education. And we're very happy to have her on our team. And so, Amber, I'd like to turn it over to you to talk about this curriculum.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today to chat about the entrepreneurship program and what we're doing with all of our partners. I do want to, like Ladonna, tell just a quick story. When I was growing up, my dad had his own carpentry business, and it wasn't until I got immersed in this type of work that I recognized my dad for what he was. So we would always talk about what were our parents and what would they do. And I would always say, oh, he's just a carpenter. But now I look back and I realize I should have been really recognizing him as the entrepreneur that he was, and the what he contributed to the community. And I think that's given me such an interesting perspective on how we can empower our students to recognize the valuable contributions of entrepreneurs in their community and really highlight the power that they can have to benefit their community. So I just want to set that as a little stage for what we're trying to accomplish here with the Simulated Workplace Entrepreneurship Education Pathway. So the pathway, what we want to build for West Virginia students, and as LaDonna mentioned, this is going to be rooted in policy, which I think is really important because it lends sustainability to the effort and increases our access to provide just outstanding resources to our students. So we are looking to build entrepreneurial mindsets as a foundational piece here, make sure that students not only have the tools and strategies that entrepreneurs need, but they really have the mindset, the grit, the perseverance, the way to move through failure, to constantly be forward thinking, that are unique to entrepreneurs. Tools and strategies, we're looking at the latest frameworks, the latest evidence-based research and entrepreneurship education at the higher ed level, and really pulling that down into career and technical education at the secondary level. So a big piece of this is the business model canvassing, design thinking. Some of these different emergent strategies in entrepreneurship education are becoming the foundation of this pathway. Third are experiences. So it's not enough to build their mindset and provide some tools and build their technical expertise, but we also want to make sure that while they are in the safety net, that is their high school experience, that they are going through entrepreneurial immersive activities and really getting comfortable with failure that can kind of be a barrier for many individuals if they were launching a entrepreneurial venture in the real world. So it's all about experience and getting them the opportunity to test that out in an area that can be safe and supportive for them. And then finally, our ultimate goal is to have these students launch real businesses as they graduate, and that can be as a side hustle or it can be a career pathway for them. But by the end of their senior year, as a completer of the program, they should have a viable real business that is making financial transactions and really has all the foundational needs of a business that could be functioning outside of the K-12 context. So it will be 4 courses, sequential. As I mentioned, design thinking has been a very incremental part of eShip 1. And so I'm excited for Trisha Ball and Marshall University to kind of talk about the design thinking framework that we're using. But the idea is that these 4 sequential courses would become a completer. So if you're familiar with career and technical education, as they go through these 4 courses, they will receive a completion in entrepreneurship. First, they'll think like an entrepreneur. 2, they'll ideate like an entrepreneur, look at viability, feasibility of a venture. And eShip 3, they'll build, so they'll create a strong business foundation. We'll talk a lot about finance, which can be one of the most challenging areas for our young students to understand entrepreneurial finance because it's a little bit experimental in nature. And then finally, the 4th course, they really should be launching functioning businesses that are working in their local communities and even globally. We're encouraging them to look at entrepreneurship doesn't just have to be local or state-based. We really are in a global economy, and we're empowering our students to be able to compete in that global economy as well. So I do want to just give a quick shout out to our pilot sites. We have 4 different sites across the state that are currently actually implementing eShip 1 and will be with us over the 4-course journey: Mingo Central in Mingo County, Randolph Technical Center in Randolph County, Spring Valley in Wayne County, and Wheeling Park in Ohio County. And these, we just have a group of rock star educators. They are absolutely phenomenal. They really are innovative thinkers. Many of them have also had entrepreneurial experience of their own or have worked in this space. And we couldn't ask for a better group of educators with just a passion for providing opportunities for their students. And so we are excited to see kind of what will occur over this 4-course sequential process. And we're already receiving great feedback just from these initial lessons with our pilot teachers and our students. And then there's one other final model that's a little unique that we want to acknowledge here. And this really came from the visionary mind of Clinton and the department. We recognize that for many of our communities, our schools are our hubs, or they are our foundational centers where a lot of people look for resources, even if they don't have a student in the building. And so James Rumsey Technical Institute in Berkeley County has been looped into this, and a little bit of a unique model to become a local makerspace, community incubator type of center. So they will be doing student-facing programming. They'll have an entrepreneurship course for students in the location, so that if they are in a simulated workplace program, such as culinary or engineering, and they want some entrepreneurial development support, they can go to this location. But the real goal is for it to serve as a technical assistance center and a business coaching center for the local community as well. So we're looking at side hustle series, we're looking at having programming for, different families that want to launch like a little side business, or to really support some of the local businesses as well. And a really unique opportunity here is that they're calling it JRTI, the company lab, and it's actually being co-branded by the students themselves. So just a really unique model of a community-facing entrepreneurship development center within the K-12 system that is supported by business, industry, nonprofit, all of the partners that Mr. Roadtruck mentioned on the front end, is really kind of culminating here in the James Rumsey model. And we're excited to keep you all up to date as that comes to fruition. We have an awesome entrepreneurship instructor, Betsy Heath, at the company lab, that is an entrepreneur herself, has owned a restaurant for many years, and will just serve as a great asset to this program as well. So we will keep you updated on our progress as we go through the 4 pilot schools, as well as this community-facing model, and would love to have everyone on this call involved as we continue to help support and grow those programs. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention here, before we kick it over to our partners at Marshall University and West Virginia University, the idea that collaboration is key. This is made possible by that partnership and by the subject matter expertise that our incredible partners bring to the table. So we will go into many of these different programs and resources in the next section here, but I just want to say thank you to Marshall and West Virginia. You all are rock stars, and it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you. And I'm very, very excited to be able to showcase some of your work here. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Trisha Ball at Marshall University Eye Center.
Thank you, Amber. And good morning, everyone. We are honored and grateful to be part of this initiative, and just thank you for letting us be a part of this today. I'm here at Marshall with the legendary Gene Coulson from EntreEd, who has been mentioned several times on this call, and several other leaders from Marshall and the Department of Education are joining us here this morning. So again, we are a relatively new center, founded in 2018. And I think from the beginning of the Eye Center, we have really seen the importance, like many of you on this call today, if you're joining, I think we can all agree on the importance of career and technical education. But really with the simulated workplace model, I think from the get-go, we've kind of seen that that's a prime place for entrepreneurship, because a lot of those students, even though they might not identify themselves as entrepreneurs, a lot of them will go on to create their own welding businesses, or their own, from the cosmetology program, their own hair salons, or from the Pro Start program, their own restaurants. So really just helping them realize, number one, that they are entrepreneurs, but number two, helping them through design thinking, which I'll talk more about here in a little bit, that they can create a new kind of business. So a new kind of welding business, a new kind of auto mechanic business. Because we always talk about attracting jobs to West Virginia, but we really want to help them create these new and innovative, first of their kind businesses. So we're creating jobs here. So people are coming and kind of flocking to West Virginia because we have this great innovation happening here. And we really think career and technical education is one of the key places that can happen. So as we mentioned, the Eye Center is part of Marshall University. We are part of the Lewis College of Business and the Brad D. Smith Schools of Business. And our mission is to inspire innovation and entrepreneurship to redefine the economic future of West Virginia from one of generational poverty to one of generational prosperity. So we do that through multiple different ways. So we have initiatives at the college level, so meaning the College of Business, campus, which is Marshall University, and then community, which is where we get to work with the career and technical education programs and the West Virginia Department of Ed. So today I'm going to focus more on the initiatives that are either specifically for high school students or ones that are available to them. But if you want to learn more about the Eye Center, please feel free to reach out to us anytime to see what else we have going on. Next slide. All right, so design thinking education. So design thinking is really at the core of everything that we do. Design thinking is a human-centered iterative process for solving complex problems, and it's really being used by all the leading companies in the United States today and globally. If you think of Google, Amazon, Uber, Netflix, Intuit, they are all using design thinking to continually disrupt themselves and to innovate. But the really cool thing about design thinking is even though all of these big titans in the business world are using it, it's really accessible to everyone and it can be used by anyone in any industry. We have done our hands-on design thinking workshops with 4th and 5th graders who are Girl Scouts. We've done it with Marshall faculty, Goodwill, the West Virginia Public Education Collaborative, the new Doctor of Business Administration program that we offer here at Marshall. We've done it with them. So it's so powerful, but it's also so accessible, which is one of the things that makes it so amazing. So thank you to our generous alumni, Brad Smith and the Intuit education team, who have just really equipped us with this tool, kind of shared with us the process and really prepared us to go out and now share it with all of you and throughout the state. So for this pathway specifically, one of the things that we've been able to do is really infuse it into the curriculum, especially like Amber mentioned, there's the 4 different courses. And for eShip 1, it's made up of 6 units and 3 of those 6 units focus on design thinking. So these students are really going to enter this pathway prepared to do design thinking, specifically Intuit's version of it, which is called Design for Delight. So they have, gone into that. They're going to be learning it this semester, and then they'll have that with them and continue to iterate and loop throughout the next 3 courses. And one of the really amazing things that happened, kind of the stars aligned with this one, is as Ladada mentioned, the educators, WVU, the State Department of Ed all came to Marshall over the summer. And Dr. Ben Ng, our executive director, and I had planned to do some Design for Delight education and training with all of them to prepare them to go teach it. But Intuit Education was offering a certificate program that week. So instead of learning it from us, they got to learn it straight from the source at Intuit, which was really fantastic. And then Intuit really went above and beyond, just providing us with a lot of different tools and resources that can be used in the classroom. And then they also paid for all of us to get certified as Design for Delight innovator educators as well now. So now all of the teachers at the pilot schools are now considered Design for Delight Innovation Catalysts, and they're part of the Intuit Innovation Catalyst community. So that's really great to be able to go into this pathway with that knowledge. Another thing that we have at the iCenter is our Entrepreneur in Residence program. So at the iCenter, we really want to focus on the creation of high growth businesses, so tech businesses, and high impact businesses or social enterprises. So we've put together kind of this dream team of entrepreneurs in residence who work with the iCenter part-time. I'm sure a lot of these are familiar faces to you. We have Brandon Dennison, who is the founder and CEO of Tollfield Development, which is a national and international award-winning organization. Colin Meadows, who's the founder of Tech 304, and David Wiley, who's one of the co-founders and the current chief academic officer at Lumen Learning, who focuses on open source textbooks. So Brandon is really our social entrepreneurship expert. Colin is our tech expert. And then David actually covers both of those. He is a social entrepreneur in the tech world. So he really focuses on educational technology. So he kind of checks both of those boxes. So all 3 of these EIRs are available to the CTE students, not just the ones in the pathway, but any CTE students, high school students who would want to book a free session with them. They can do in person if they're local, or Zoom or team meetings if you're spread across the state. But they are available to do some one-on-one coaching and mentoring. They all have a super strong passion for working with students and mentoring them. They are available to come to classes to give guest lectures. They'll do some workshops for us, and then they provide thought leadership to the center as well. So they are a huge asset to have on our team. All right, we also have an iCenter Creation Studio. So this is on Marshall University's Huntington campus. Thank you, Deanna. So this is on Marshall University's Huntington campus in Corbley Hall. We have, it's part design thinking studio and part digital content creation studio. So in our design thinking side, we have some space that people can come in and interview customers and can do some ideation and brainstorming. We have a ton of Post-its and a big whiteboard. And we also have some scrappy materials there to help out with rapid prototyping. On the other side, we have several video cameras, a teleprompter, some big TV screens, and some podcasting equipment. So if any of these students want to come in and record a video for a competition that they're doing or for a class that they're doing, if someone's taking part in a pitch competition and wants to come in and either do a live pitch from the studio, they can do that or pre-record it. If somebody, as part of their business idea, needs to do podcasting or record some audio for a commercial or something, we have all of that available, and this is all completely free to students. And last but not least, we have our Governor's School of Entrepreneurship. So it was a little bit different this year, like most things because of COVID, but during a typical year, it is a 3-week program. So this kind of alternates back and forth between West Virginia University and Marshall University. So Marshall University had it this past summer, and we'll have it next year as well. And it's 3 weeks. They come and live at Marshall's campus or at WVU's campus for 3 weeks and just go through a really intensive entrepreneurship program. We're hoping that we can be back to the in-person 3-week model next summer. But it's a really great opportunity not to just learn from faculty at Marshall and WVU, but also national thought leaders. So this cohort that just graduated over the summer had workshops from Bradley Smith, the former CEO and current executive chairman at Intuit, David Bland, who is a best-selling author of a book called Testing Business Ideas with the Business Model Canvas, and then Ash Moria, who is the creator of the Lean Canvas and author of Running Lean. So they got some really great exposure and got to work hands-on, it was through Zoom, but they got, small settings, worked intimately with these national thought leaders and had the opportunity to create their own businesses. And our instructor of entrepreneurship, Olin York, leads that up as the Governor's School of Entrepreneurship Dean here at Marshall University. So like I said, we have many other programs. Those are kind of the ones that are more tailored to our high school students. And now I would like to go ahead and turn it over to our great partners at WVU. I think Tara St. Clair will be going next. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Tricia. We are so lucky to have great partners like you and Ben over at Marshall University. My name is Tara St. Clair, and I will be speaking on behalf of West Virginia University today. We are live from the Morris L. Hayhurst Launch Lab. Next to me, I have Dr. Liz Batullo and Dr. Carrie White, along with wonderful distinguished guests. So we have a robust entrepreneurship ecosystem here at West Virginia University, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it today. Within the John Chambers College of Business and Economics, we have the Encova Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which is my center. We work with the K through 12, higher education, and the community through academics, programming, and consulting. We also have Vantage Ventures, which is run by Sarah Biller. They support high-impact, scalable businesses, and they tackle complex challenges. And finally, we have the Morris L. Hayhurst Launch Lab, which is run by Dr. Carrie White. And they offer applied innovation by providing students with a collaborative working environment to create their ideas. So we're going to talk to you about a couple of programs that we run through our centers this morning. And we want to start, if we can advance the slide, to My Hometown is Cool. My Hometown is Cool was developed by the WVU Extension Services in partnership with the Encova Center. It's just a really fun event where we have students aged 9 through 18, and they're really just pitching their ideas on how to make their hometowns cooler. They have 4 mini grants of $2,500 each, and the students love it. We had over 800 students completed the lesson, so they get some information before they get to the pitch competition piece. But my favorite part is where they're pitching for those mini grants. It's so great to watch these students work collaboratively and pitch their ideas on how they can make their hometowns cooler. On the next slide, we'll be talking about the Impact Challenge. So the Impact Challenge, I'm just going to quickly talk about before we play the video, is where students are working in multidisciplinary teams, and it's over 1 weekend, and we have high school and college students, and they're working on Appalachia's greatest challenges to create scalable, innovative ideas to help West Virginia move forward. This program was designed to be implemented into any school or classroom throughout the state. If you're interested in implementing this program into your school, please contact me. We would love to work with you. So we'll go ahead and cue up the video.
The Impact Challenge is an opportunity to expand my skill set beyond just, thinking about ideas and, imagining what I could do. I get the opportunity to, be a part of a network of individuals to create a solution that, actually impacts the place where I live.
We want to change the mindset and really encourage entrepreneurial thinking so that they can start looking at opportunities. They can look at different ways that they can impact their state.
It's a great opportunity to speak to the youth. And a lot of times we sit at the table and try to come up with ideas, come up with solutions, and overlook that voice. And by talking with them and bringing them to the table, they can be the change that they're wanting to see.
The more perspectives you have, the better input and the better outcomes that you're gonna be able to come up with to move West Virginia forward. It's a state that I'm passionate about, and I'm considering myself a West Virginian now.
The students here at WVU, the ones we worked with, I expected them to be definitely more straightforward and strict, but they were easy to talk to. I was going to go to another college, but after this experience, I realized that this is something I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. And so I decided that I want to come to WVU, work in fashion and design, and stick with it.
Excellent. Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, if you are interested in getting involved in this program, we would love to have you. We would love to have as many impact challenges across the state as possible. So please just let us know if you're interested in hosting an impact challenge. The final project that we wanted to tell you about today is the West Virginia statewide high school business plan competition. And this competition provides high school students around the state the unique opportunity to bring their business ideas to life. So we'll go ahead and show you the video on that one as well.
The West Virginia statewide high school business plan competition is an awesome opportunity for students to explore their ideas and engage in entrepreneurship. Our goal is to shape the next generation of entrepreneurs by helping them turn their ideas into reality. The state of West Virginia is so entrepreneurial as it is. We have generations of entrepreneurs. So the high school business plan competition really helps build that future entrepreneurial pipeline. In working in communities across the state, we get to see these awesome entrepreneurs emerging from our high schools, and it's really beneficial for the state as a whole as it grows.
I heard about the business plan competition through my business teacher at my high school. So as a student going through the competition, I was able to fully understand what it took to be an entrepreneur and what it took to run a business.
High school students grades 9 through 12 are eligible to participate in the competition. Students will take their idea and be able to work it through with seasoned business professionals from across the state. They start with an idea, we get to work through it through the business model canvas, and by the end, they're presenting a business plan.
The best way for students to generate ideas is to think about problems that they see in society, either with themselves or other people, and then look for opportunities to solve those problems. When students are thinking about what is an innovation, they can look at an existing product or service and think about how they can make it better in a really creative way. I've served as a judge in the high school business plan competition for the last few years, and it has been so rewarding to see the ideas of these students across the state. We have such brain power in our youth, and the state really benefits from our students being able to showcase that innovation and their ideas in this competition. Students will receive various resources throughout the competition, including coaching, prototyping support, market research, patent assistance, access to maker labs across the state. In the final round, students will have the opportunity to pitch to investors and earn funding for their idea.
Students should participate in the business plan competition because they have nothing to lose and a whole world of opportunities to gain. You can really come in with any idea. You will meet experts, you will meet connections, you will make friends. And that was really the best part of the competition, was meeting so many new, innovative, creative, and just inspired people.
To learn more about the competition, head to our website, businessplanwv.com.
All right, so if you were watching that video thinking, oh my gosh, I would love for my students to participate in the high school business plan competition, you were in luck because the round one entries are not due until November 12th. If you would like more information about the high school business plan competition, I would be happy to speak to you or any of your students about the competition. And then finally, I just wanted to shout out Marshall University and the Adventure Group, and of course, Clinton from the Department of Education. We are proud to be a part of the team. So thank you guys, and over to Alyssa.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Tara. My name is Alyssa Keedy White, and I am the Workforce Development Coordinator and the Business and Industry Liaison for the West Virginia Department of Education. I'm so happy to be here today, thrilled to be able to talk about our Classroom to Career initiative and all of the student opportunities that we are providing for West Virginia students. Next slide, please. So, you know, the Department of Education has really made prioritizing student opportunities something that we are really looking to expand. So as part of the Classroom to Career initiative, we are launching a website where students can get access to tools to explore and plan their future career path. The Classroom to Career Navigator, as we are calling it, will include these resources and information on careers, colleges, military service, entrepreneurship, and internships and apprenticeships. So a goal of the Classroom to Career Navigator is to also highlight those business and industry partnerships that offer career experiences, such as internships and apprenticeships. And this is something that the department is really excited about. You know, we have all of these great local partnerships happening all across the state, and we really want to be able to utilize the Classroom to Career Navigator as a place to highlight and showcase all of the great work that folks are doing across the state. So as part of the Classroom to Career initiative, the Department of Education is working to expand work-based learning and entrepreneurship opportunities that provide real-world work experience for our students. Valuable work-based learning activities enhance the classroom instruction by giving our students the opportunity to actually apply their technical skills in the workplace. So work-based learning activities can range from learning about a career to actually preparing for your career through clinical experiences or classroom observation, all the way through real-world work experience like an on-the-job training program. So, you know, one of our main goals through expanding these work-based learning opportunities is to create potential full-time entry-level jobs for our students. A lot of the times we have these great local partnerships, and all of you business and industry folks across the state have these great opportunities for our students and have actually hired them. So we want to be able to continue to partner with you all and expand these types of opportunities for our students. So at the state level, you know, West Virginia has made work-based learning a priority by actually establishing a target to meet federal U.S. Department of Education Perkins 5 requirements. And Perkins 5 is the principal source of federal funding to support career and technical education programs. So we're really coming at this from, you know, all different levels, from the federal level, from the state level, as well as the local level. And we're really excited to do this. So as I mentioned, work-based learning provides that hands-on work experience, and it actually connects on-the-job learning to related technical instruction and those academic competencies that are applicable in the workplace. You know, we've heard a lot this morning about how important it is to apply what you're learning in the classroom to your job. And that is exactly why we have launched the Classroom to Career initiative, and we're focusing on providing, you know, not just entrepreneurship education opportunities, but those career learning, career preparation, and career experiences for our students. So internships and apprenticeships with businesses across our state will actually give our students the opportunities to apply those technical skills in the workplace and gain experience. So one of the Department of Education's main objectives is to create these on-the-job learning opportunities and make it easier for our businesses to connect with schools to help them create a pipeline of skilled workers. So with the Classroom2Career initiative, we actually saw an opportunity to create a seamless way for our schools and businesses to formalize these partnerships and actually track workforce outcomes and opportunities for our students. So as you can see on the screen here, we have identified and defined work-based learning activities that are meaningful and valuable experiences for our students, our schools, and our businesses. So the green bucket or career learning is community driven. And these are community service projects that connect meaningful community service experiences with classroom learning and civic responsibility. And we have a number of examples of this already happening across the state. We have some great partnerships with our state parks, where a lot of our career technical education students were able to go on site at our state parks across the state and to help them rebuild and revitalize those, state parks. The second bucket is career preparation, and this is really curriculum-driven work-based learning that provides students with those employability skills that they need to be successful in a particular work area. So it blends the classroom instruction and experience at a business or an industrial establishment or a community organization where students work for a specific period of time. This can be paid or unpaid. Typically, it takes place at the work site, but sometimes it can also take place at the school. And some examples of this include clinicals, student teaching, and classroom observation. So these are some of the types of work-based learning areas that we're going to be able to really hone in and capture at the state level. Lastly, we have our career experience bucket, and this is employer driven. And this is really where we want to engage with you folks across the state, employers. We want to be able to expand these types of partnerships and experiences for our students. And these are employer driven work-based learning activities with an on-the-job training portion. Examples include internships and apprenticeships. So this is where these types of experiences are really designed to enhance and build upon the technical instruction that our students are learning in the classroom. And all of these types of experiences really take place on the job site. A lot of times these are typically paid experiences. And a lot of times there's an evaluation component with this type of work-based learning. And that's where the industry partnership comes in and is very critical for these. Each career experience typically, it will include a signed agreement between the school and the participating business. And this is where we really want to be able to highlight what I mentioned on the Career Navigator website. We want to be able to highlight these types of opportunities that the businesses are providing for our students across the state. Next slide, please. So as part of these efforts, as I mentioned, we're really trying to help build an easy way to manage these types of experiences. So employer partnerships, as we all know, they are essential to making work-based learning successful. And employers play a critical role in designing these experiences. And we can actually tailor programs to fit your specific workforce and employment needs. So, a goal of the Department of Education is to help support formalizing these partnerships. And, we want to make sure that we are working together with West Virginia businesses, allowing our schools, students, and employers to track on-the-job learning outcomes. So in order to do this, we have actually developed a statewide system, and this system is going to help manage and track work-based learning activities. So as part of this system, students will be able to track their work-based learning hours and activities through a student portal we're also developing an app where students will be able to clock in and clock out, making it easier for them to keep track of the hours that they are, that they are basically utilizing as part of these experiences. So our schools will be able to input and highlight ongoing business partnerships. And our instructors will be able to monitor and track their students' experiences and make sure that they're meeting their course requirements, specifically more for the career preparation experiences, those experiences that are required as part of coursework, like clinicals and student teaching and observation. You're looking, another great thing about this system and the Classroom to Career initiative, as well as the Classroom to Career Navigator, is that if you're a business and you're looking to, recruit that skilled industry certified workforce, or you would just like to learn more about the technical training with specialized equipment that, that's offered at local career centers, we would love for you to become a Classroom to Career partner. We can help you connect to a local school or career center. That way you can formalize that partnership and we can highlight all of your great work at, with the Department of Education on our website. So if you're looking for other ways that you can engage with our schools or engage as part of this initiative, there are a few different options you have. So today, you can engage today, right now, after this summit by completing the follow-up survey that you'll be receiving. You can also share your business or organization's specific student opportunities in our collaborative conversations that are going to be happening here shortly. You can do that in a discussion, and you'll also be able to share that electronically through Menti, which Ladata is going to go through some of the logistics here in a little bit, but that can happen electronically during our breakout sessions. And lastly, you're going to hear a little bit more about other ways that the EdVenture Group and our other partners are supporting these efforts and ways that you can engage later this morning. So I just wanted to thank everybody for giving me the time to talk about our Classroom to Career initiative, all the ways that we can engage with business and industry. And now I'd like to turn it back over to Ladata.
Thank you, Alyssa, and thank you to all of our speakers. I think this really gives everyone a good feel for what we have been working on collaboratively. And the other thing that I noticed is, as each of our presenters were sharing different programs, and we've referenced other programs across the state, none of us own entrepreneurship, but there are so many good things going on. And I think that's the real value of a session like this today is that, we will now be going into collaborative conversations, and it really is about a call to action about how you might like to be involved and share other ideas. And, we have this great foundation with the specific things that we just talked about. I mean, Alyssa's work and what she just described is such a step forward, I think, for helping to connect things. But the curriculum that we have, and, it's just an opportunity for us to really collaborate and focus on that continued thinking of partnerships and how we can continue to grow this effort. And the one thing that I would say is that I don't think anyone can say we're not doing anything with entrepreneurship education in the state of West Virginia, because you've just heard about so many great initiatives, from the high school business plan to the work at Marshall. And, I could list all of those things again, but there are a lot of good things going on. I think it's so important that we share what we're doing. We see if there are other collaborations that are out there that might, be meaningful. And again, that's why we appreciate you being here today, because we want to have this opportunity. That was the reason to do something like this summit. Now, surprisingly to all of us that organized this, we are a little ahead of schedule. So that's a great thing. We want to be sure to get you wrapped up by noon. But I also think that it might be nice to take a 5-minute break so that if you need to move around, freshen your coffee, you would have time to do that. And then when you come back, we will talk about these breakout conversations. We'll be breaking out online. We'll be breaking out at both of the higher ed institutions, and we'll be taking some time to really have some conversations. Then we will come back together, and each of the breakouts will share a few comments from their discussion, and then we'll have a call to action and wrap up. So I would like to just suggest that everybody be back at their screen, at their computer at 10:25. That gives us 6 minutes to take a quick break, and we will promptly start at 10:25 and get started with our breakout room. So thanks to everyone, and take a quick break.
Writing.
Okay, we are back, and I hope that everyone took advantage of that break. I know most of us probably needed to move around a little bit, and now we are going to get you engaged and involved, and we appreciate your patience and attention in allowing us to share things, but now is what we really wanted to get to, which is to find out, what you think and hear from you. So on the next slide, you will see our question. And that question for our conversations: how might we continue to support West Virginia youth in work-based learning opportunities? So we want to focus on that. And I want to say that, we specifically emphasized West Virginia youth. That's what this is all about. It's about helping our youth so that we build a better future for the state of West Virginia. We have that workforce that Senator Rucker talked about. We instill those values that Gail mentioned and that Scott mentioned and Clinton has talked about. So we want to make sure that we continue to build upon the good things that are happening and think about how we can continue to support West Virginia youth in work-based learning opportunities. And so we are going to be going into breakout groups. There will be 1 or 2 breakouts on the WVU campus, depending on the number of people that are there. And we have facilitators there to guide you through the discussions. We will do the same thing at Marshall. And then if you are joining us via Zoom and you are online, we will be placing you randomly in breakout groups. We have 3 or 4 facilitators that will be available to guide the conversation. We will be giving you 30 minutes from the time that we break and go into breakout groups until we come back. We will then spend about 15 minutes asking each of the breakout groups to share the highlights of the conversation around this question from each of the breakout groups, because we want everybody to kind of hear what was talked about in each breakout group. And in addition to that, we would really like to get a feel for, as I said, none of us own this entrepreneurship, but we know that there are so many different efforts out there that address entrepreneurship. And so we want to make sure that we're collecting that information so that everybody can have an opportunity to take a look at the different resources that are out there. So you'll see on the screen, menti.com. If you can go to that link on your device, on your computer or your phone, and enter the code that is there, and you might want to jot that down, 8290-2852. And we would just like for you to input programs that address entrepreneurship, anything that maybe you've worked on, you are currently working on, or something that you're aware of that addresses entrepreneurship. And I see that we're getting in the chat that the code is not working. So Amber, I'm going to ask you or Jen if you guys could take a look at that, and we'll get that fixed so that it will work. And that's the way it always goes, right? Something will always go a little haywire, but we'll get that code fixed and get that to you. But we really just want to collect that information. So if you would be kind enough to just go in, we'll get the code set, and then we'll be sure to share what we pick up with you. So with that, we are going to move to breakouts, and Amber will be able to share a code if anything needs changed with us as we are in our breakout groups. And we hope that you will have a conversation around that question. And it is, I'm going to say 10:30. So we will come back together at 11 o'clock sharp, and then we will do our sharing and then a little call to action. So let's see, let me find that code. I think everybody can see that new code, 82153736. So if you could make note of that code, and we will now go to our breakout. And I think that's going to just pop up and happen for us automatically because we have a great team at WVU that is helping us make that happen. So we will be back at 11, and we'll look forward to a spokesperson from each of your breakout groups sharing with us.
Okay, I'm working on those breakout rooms right now. I'm just getting the facilitators assigned. We have 4 breakout rooms. Thank you.
Thank you. See, it's magically going to happen, but there's certainly somebody behind that magic. And Julia, we appreciate your hard work and help on this. Okay, we are back. It is 11 o'clock and we are back and ready to hear from our breakout groups. And it looks like we're still having some great conversation at WVU, Liz, so I'm sorry to be cutting you guys off.
Yeah, should I just give them a warning just to let them know we're going to bring them back?
Yes.
Okay. I've been giving them like a 5-minute and a 3-minute warning too, so they
Okay.
should be aware.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then Amber, you'll be putting the slides back up and we can start taking a look at the responses from our breakout groups.
Okay, they are returning now. They have about 60 seconds to return, so
Okay.
that's just automatic.
Okay. Well, welcome back, everyone. Hope that you had some great conversations. And Amber, if you could share your screen and put our question back up, I will try to make sure I hit every breakout group. I think we had 4 breakout groups online, so maybe I'll start there if that's okay. And Amy, I'm going to just ask you to share for our breakout group. That will get things started, and then we'll work through the other 3 and then go live to our live sites. So Amy?
Sorry, Scott, I told you we were going to be teleported back into the main room soon.
I know, we were having a great conversation. Nathan got cut off.
So did Scott. It was like, shoot, we were gone.
Oh, Amy Stewart cannot unmute. Can someone unmute her? She volunteered to be our spokesperson.
Yes.
Okay. You've been unmuted.
Thank you.
All right, Amy, it's all yours.
So we had a sort of a 2-pronged discussion. How can we benefit entrepreneurial efforts at large? And then we kind of focused on the entrepreneurship program. So at large, our comments were centralizing and helping people figure out how we can find funds that aren't grants, because that's just an ongoing concern. The idea of bringing exposure for teachers. We're asking teachers to teach about workplace experiences, and they have a hunger for getting exposure to workplaces. So whether that's externships or different innovative ways of bringing experiences to them so that they understand what workplaces outside of education look like. More businesses involved at an earlier age in students' education, so that, again, so that students have a vision of what work looks like outside of their parents' experiences and their teachers' experiences. And then specific to the entrepreneurship program, we commented that there's a real value in diversity in the type of feedback and mentoring that they're receiving, whether that is not just the industry that they're choosing to focus on, but things like marketing and speaking and ways to bring different value to their product. And we had an I wonder about, is there a way it would have to be influenced by local policy on how CTE centers are scheduling, but is there a way that students could concurrently take a career technical program such as carpentry and the entrepreneurship program so that they're fusing those ideas together at the same time rather than taking one and then the next? That there could be real value in that, but it's a definite challenge in terms of solving it for school schedules.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It was a great discussion, and Amy, I appreciate you sharing with the group. Alyssa, can we go to you and ask you to share your breakout comments or someone that you designated?
Sure, I'm happy to share, LaDotta. So my group talked a little bit about this kind of actually theme emerged around rethinking work-based learning in general, right? So we talked a lot about, the changes with not just the pandemic, but just in general with, the future and where things are going. And we need to rethink the types of work-based learning opportunities that we're providing to students. We talked about providing more virtual opportunities for students. Also, that we need to think about ways that we can engage entrepreneurs. The state of West Virginia has thousands and thousands and thousands of small business owners and entrepreneurs. How can we engage them, and what might that look like for work-based learning for students? Also, be thinking about ways that we can capture existing work-based learning opportunities that might be more along the lines of, mentoring, job shadowing, a video library that students can access, more around maybe career awareness and focusing on that. We also talked about rethinking the length. Typically when folks talk about work-based learning, the first thing that comes to their mind might be a semester-long internship or a year-long or 2-year-long apprenticeship program. And we talked about how that is no longer the case. And a lot of these experiences can be done virtually and can be done in a short period of time. So really focusing on and communicating the fact that we are not tied to the traditional work-based learning experience. And lastly, really thinking about engagement, engaging with students at an earlier age. We talked about providing our middle school students with information on the types of careers that are available, sharing some of those virtual resources that we do have with our business partners. Also engaging with parents and grandparents earlier than we have in the past on those career opportunities that are across our state. And also reconsidering the way that we engage with our business folks, at the local level, and really thinking about ways that at the state level that we can, in our partnerships and other organizations, ways we can support making those connections with our schools and our businesses at the local level. So as I mentioned, the really big theme that emerged in our discussion was rethinking work-based learning in general.
Okay, great. Great. I like how every group kind of took a different spin, and that's great. Really good information, and we're so appreciative of all these different voices. So thank you, Alyssa. Jen, how about you?
Okay, in the true spirit of collaboration, I'm going to start and then I'm turning it over to Bill Woodrum for the ending part. But we really talked about, and it kind of plays along what Alyssa said, the fact that in the past, the opportunities for businesses to work with simulated workplace programs were very limited in some cases due to the insurance liability issues that pop up when you have students working in some of those environments. And the fact that there are virtual opportunities now where students can participate and actually be working without ever stepping foot in there kind of takes away some of those issues that we've seen in the past when trying to do that. The message that Clinton really talked about from there was, if you've tried to work with the department, with the students or with the simulated workplaces in the past, and it really wasn't a fit, then try again. It looks different. We're trying something different now. So in that spirit of, true collaboration, even if it didn't work before, it's different. It's a new process. We also talked about equity and making sure that the students are really seeing themselves in the businesses. And, we kind of looked at the screen and the people that were on the screen in our breakout room and agreed that we all kind of looked pretty much the same. And so we want to make sure that what students are seeing is reflective of them, so that they know they too can work in any of those fields, entrepreneurship being one of them. Bill, do you want to kind of wrap up our room conversation?
Yeah, sure. I think, the one thing that kept coming through over and over was the power of partnership, the ecosystem building that Tara St. Clair has helped chair, the power of working between the state departments that we see on display and private and the county organizations here. And I think to build on what you said, Jennifer, reflecting a diversity of people and the career opportunities. We can't always make it look like you're not an entrepreneur if you're not a 10x tech entrepreneur who has turned over 6 businesses and are calling yourself a serial entrepreneur. If you're a person who's learned agriculture or you've learned manufacturing skills and you take that and you've found a job and you're keeping yourself employed, you're employing others, you very much have that entrepreneurial spirit. And I think the one thing we talked about was making sure we work together to start to let kids know from a very early age that entrepreneurship's an opportunity. You don't have to be a business major. History majors can be entrepreneurial. You know, it's very, very important that we let kids know that it's an opportunity from an early age and get rid of the myth that people are only entrepreneurs because they were born with that innate entrepreneurship gene. I don't think science has tied that down yet.
That's great. Great. Thank you. And I think a lot of great messages there and, you know, additional things for us to think about. And I certainly support what you say because I feel like I fall into that category. I never imagined being an entrepreneur, but, you know, we can learn those skills and make those things happen. So thank you to your breakout group. Amber, how about you?
Yeah, I had an awesome group. I just want to shout them out. They were fantastic. And we did, Nathan, I'm interested in your little side hustle of turkey calls. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, ours we started with a conversation around mindset. And, you know, I think it was Charlotte that she works with incarcerated individuals around entrepreneurship. And we talked about how there's often a mindset that a new industry or a big player is going to come in and save us. And how can we shift mindsets for our youth to say, you don't need anybody to come in and save us. We can save and build our own great opportunities. So the buckets that we really talked about were support for students. So clarifying the language around work-based learning, what's the difference between pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship, internship, making sure that they are knowledgeable about that language. And then mentorship in and outside of the school building. So they often pick a career path in middle school and then they just kind of enter that career path. And so how can we do continued mentorship throughout and to make sure that the career path that they might have picked in middle school is something they're still interested in, or can we help them adapt and remain agile throughout their high school years? So a lot of support for students and then just continuing to offer new pre-apprenticeships. We already touched on some of the barriers around age, insurance, liability, but I think in a virtual world, those are something that we can definitely work together to overcome. And then another unique thing that we talked about was upskilling of teachers and encouraging teachers like my father, who was a carpenter and I didn't view as an entrepreneur. Many of our teachers are entrepreneurs and had their own venture or are currently working on a side hustle like Nathan is, to upskill our teachers to really embrace that and encourage students to pursue areas that they're passionate about. That could be a hobby, and how can that become a viable side income for you? It's a new world of work. And so we're looking at a gig economy, people work multiple jobs. How can we kind of ingrain that in our students and through just a mindset of entrepreneurship across all industry clusters in the schools?
Yeah, absolutely. An interesting twist to the conversation because it's easy to overlook that, you know, that teachers are also entrepreneurs in different ways in addition to their teaching. So great feedback. So let's go now to Marshall University. And Tricia, we'd like to hear what you had going on there. And I don't know if you had more than one group or if it was just one breakout group, but why don't you fill us in? Oh, we can't hear you. No. Oh, we've almost made it without any big technical challenges. We'll give this a second here and then we can always go to WVU if.
Is this better?
Yes.
All right, leave it to me to be the one problem child. All right, so we had a really good conversation. It sounds like we're on the same wavelength as a lot of the other groups, which I think is fantastic. Lots of great ideas, and I think what's going to end up being collaboration beyond this event, which is really good. I think what we had hoped for. So we really discussed the challenge of entrepreneurs and small businesses not having the bandwidth to take interns. So if you have these larger companies, they have an HR department and all these different departments, they have the capacity for leaders in that organization to have students that they can intern and meet with, every week or every other week and sit down with them. But I think we all know when you're an entrepreneur, you're just trying to survive and get through the day, and you don't know what any day is going to look like. So how can you kind of add extra meetings and stuff in? So we talked a lot about that. Some ideas that we came up with were an internship coordinator at a local college or university, working with a class to solve a challenge within a bigger business. So maybe encouraging some of that corporate innovation or entrepreneurship. Or having them create a new product or service for an existing business. There's also the idea of doing like entrepreneurship rotation, kind of like clinical. So going and working for a bank for a couple weeks or a month, and then going and working at a manufacturing facility for a little while. So you're getting all of those like different pieces of entrepreneurship, but with bigger companies. Then we also talked about the NASDAQ Center model. So the NASDAQ Center is in California. So maybe kind of replicating that with some incubators in the state of West Virginia, and having students go and work inside of these incubators with a bunch of different startup companies. And then also classifying entrepreneurs by stage, because we were thinking about, if you're a really early stage problem solution fit, that, again, that's probably when you're at that really crazy stage. But if you're a little bit bigger and more established, you probably have more of the capacity to work with an intern. We also said, let's just throw them into the chaos. Instead of having to do this bi-weekly meeting where you have to sit down and talk, just let the student follow you. And it's, 1 minute you might be going and getting something at Sam's Club, and the next minute you might have to hire somebody. You just never know. So just kind of letting them see the chaos firsthand. And then something else we talked about as a challenge was the need for teachers to upskill in entrepreneurship, like Amber was saying. So some ideas we talked about were some programs that we have offered through organizations in the States of teacher training and entrepreneurship, or seeing if there's some way that we can get teachers, a lot of them go from college, they major in education and they go straight into being a teacher. Is there any opportunity to get teachers to be entrepreneurs before entering teaching or something like that, just so that I think we can all agree getting students introduced to entrepreneurship as a career pathway earlier, and having some more teachers as entrepreneurs might help that. Did I miss anything?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we also talked about equity and inclusion, just like the other groups. So just making sure, when you start talking about work-based learning opportunities, you have to have transportation to those apprenticeships and internships. So just making sure about students have the transportation, and if they might not have parents who have the connections, how we overcome barriers like that, so that all of the students are getting the same opportunities.
It's a great point, and we can't forget that, because that is the reality of a major challenge within our state. So great presentation. Thank you. I mean, a lot of great ideas there that I think just really flow nicely with the thoughts of the other groups. And it's just so neat that we have Marshall and WVU on here live, and then giving others the opportunity to join from their offices. I think this is just great to get that feedback, and thank you to everybody that is on campus there and was able to share in this conversation. So thank you, Tricia. And last but not least, we'll wrap up with our friends at WVU. And so we'll transfer to them. And I don't know, did you guys just have one group, Liz?
We had one fantastic large group, and it was, we had a great, robust conversation. We have just an incredible group of dedicated educators here. So everyone got pretty passionate and fired up, and we touched upon a lot of the things that the other groups said. So I'm just going to pull a few things out. We talked about the great foundation that some of this eShip curriculum is based off of, from CTE to the AC curriculum. And what the group really encouraged, and I know this is hard to do, but where we can build in flexibility to a student's curriculum and pathway is really important. I think one of the other groups talked about this kind of concurrent pursuit of, technical education and entrepreneurship curriculum. And from a scheduling perspective, that's pretty challenging. But as we all know, entrepreneurship is not a direct science, or there's not a formula. It's not you go from A to B to C, etc. Sometimes they have to find their passion, they have to find their confidence. And so how do we give them the opportunity to move in and out of of classes and experiences that really speaks to their passion. Yeah, I likened it to, and maybe this shows my age, but the choose your own adventure books, where, you go from page, 13, and then you can go to either 47 or 56, depending on where you are. But where can we build in that choose your own adventure perspective into the curriculum? We also talked a little bit about, building off of some of the CTE elements, the advisory councils that existed there, that industry partnerships that were really created, and the strength of those, and how could we formalize those and move them into this to really make meaningful experiences for students. We had a great example here about, the example was ProStart Culinary, and how they incorporated local contacts to build experiences for students with food trucks, where students could, get that experience firsthand and getting that local flavor. So how do we encourage groups? Like, I know we want to create formal experiences across the state, but how do we tap into some of those local opportunities? And then when those local opportunities don't exist, because, we all, the West Virginia is very, there's some opportunities in some locations and not in other opportunities, or not the same level of opportunities in all locations. How do we really tap into what we've experienced over this last year with remote learning, remote work, to bring entrepreneurs into the classroom and really build upon that? The last point, and it was something Carrie brought up, but everyone agreed, let's not lose the focus on intrapreneurship. And, how do we encourage students become, and I think Carrie put it this way, and it was very powerful, to become that creative force within a business to really move it along, because that's going to create, as businesses grow, that's going to create opportunities for others and build community and provide mentor. They can be then mentors for students, so that intrapreneurship opportunity and focus, should be an element of what we're discussing along with everything else. So did I get everything? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, LaDonna.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, a lot of good information, a lot of great sharing. And I think, this is exactly what we wanted to have happen. We were just so eager to share what we knew was going on, and then really give you the opportunity to, share with us and provide information, so that, this all started talking about partnerships. Now the partnerships just continue to grow, and we're being more inclusive of all the great things going on in the state. And so we're just very appreciative of your comments. But, as with any good meeting that we go to, I believe we should always end with some call to action. And so the question is, how can you get involved? And so we'd like to share with you a couple of ideas from our perspective, because, just as we say in teacher professional development, it's not a one time and then teachers feel great about everything and we walk away. We know as educators, we want to keep learning together. We want to keep working together. And so that's true with this summit. We really want to give you the opportunity to engage and be a part of this initiative. And so some options, that you can see there on the screen, register as a potential guest speaker for classes. Maybe you can serve as a mentor for individuals or student teams. Perhaps you can act as a connector for schools in the community, in your community, so that we really are building these partnerships outside of our school walls. And then if you are a business, perhaps there's a way you could offer an internship or an apprenticeship program in your organization. Maybe that's something you've thought about in the past and just haven't, kind of taken that leap of faith and decided to go ahead and do that. But you can see that, a lot of great things are happening. And I think these are just, 4 initial ideas of ways that you can be engaged and get involved with what's going on. I'd like to send this back to Clinton, because I'm sure he'd like to have a couple of closing comments, and then I'll kind of come back and close the day. But we will be sending you that survey so that you can fill out and provide us with information. We hope that you completed the Mentimeter, so that we make sure that we've we have a repository of everything that is going on. And, you know, again, I just think that it has been a great way to spend our Friday morning, knowing that, you know, we're in 2 different locations in our state, 2 major institutions that have given their time and expertise to help build a curriculum that we believe can help change the interest level and the knowledge base of our students in West Virginia to really think about entrepreneurship and have the tools that they need to truly be able to move forward and start their own businesses. You know, and I would say as well, you know, if someone asks you what's going on with entrepreneurship in West Virginia, I think we have a lot to share. I think we have a lot to be proud of. We're just, you know, in the early stages because we all, with all of our efforts, still have so many things to do. But I think events like this help bring us together and will help us to really unite and continue to grow entrepreneurship efforts across the state of West Virginia. So Clinton, I'd like to just see if you'd like to, you know, share a couple of comments as we wrap up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, LaDonna. And thank you to WVU, Marshall, Adventure. This could not have happened. All the folks here at the Department of Ed that's helped with this project. I mean, I cannot thank everybody enough. I mean, I'm sitting here, my heart's like overwhelmed with, I got a lot of friends out there. That's all I'm going to say. And a lot of passionate friends. And I'm going to call all of you my crocodile hunters because you have actually taken Steve Irwin's quote to heart. You've made education exciting for our students in West Virginia. So maybe instead of calling you a crocodile hunter, maybe I'm going to call all of you work-based learning entrepreneurship hunters because that's exactly what you are. All of you that from the business world and from the other entities and agencies that have come together here today to be a part of this, hats off to you. Thank you for taking time out to Gail and to Patricia and to Scott. I know they're very busy individuals, but this is a big passion, I think, not only for them, but everybody that's on this call today. I'd love to see that these partnerships continue to grow and expand because I'm telling you, we are simply just scratching the surface here in West Virginia. One of the conversations I'll go back to with Amber, you know, she talked about West Virginia is going to be in the map and West Virginia is going to lead the nation. I truly believe that. I wouldn't be so excited if I didn't believe that. But we can't lead the nation without folks like you guys who are sitting there and helping us out. So hats off to you. Thank you for being my friends and thank you for looking out and creating opportunities for the students of West Virginia. Hats off.
Well, thank you, Clinton, and thank you for your leadership. You know, without your leadership and vision, you know, we wouldn't be doing this today. So I think I can speak on behalf of all the partners that we're all thrilled to be a part of this. We're happy to help lead education entrepreneurship efforts in the state. And, you know, my hope is that we aren't strangers, that we will continue to connect. We will be discussing ways that we can stay connected with you. And we hope that you really will take this call to action and think about ways that you can get involved to share your expertise and good work with the next generation of workers in West Virginia. So with that, we will be asking you to fill out the survey and you know, we'll be sending that your way. Please, you know, give us your feedback. We're very interested in your thoughts and opinions, as I hope you could tell from our session today. And we are wrapping up a little bit early, and I'm just thrilled. And as I said, with the others that we planned with, we were just pretty sure we might run out of time. So this worked great, and it accomplished what we wanted to. Echo Clinton's comments and thoughts of thanks to Scott and Gail and Senator Rucker. We so appreciate you helping set the vision for what we want to do and for everything that you've done, from funding to guidance and expertise and mentorship in growing this effort. So have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for your participation. And as it says on the screen, we will provide a link so that you can complete a survey, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Can I just weigh in real? Sure. I apologize. We have a question from Dr. Bijou at West Virginia State University on how can each of us continue to support the initiative. So I just want to reiterate the opportunities that were on the previous slide. There is a specific part of the survey to be completed to be listed as a resource. So please, everyone that was registered and everyone that attended, that survey is the best way to connect with this initiative, or email me individually and I can get you connected with the program as well. So just want to reiterate that and address that question that had come in.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks to everyone. Have a great weekend.